What is up, guys? Today we're looking at the best champions for mid lane in my opinion, and the game is shifting way more into like high damage poke champions, and that is what we're really looking for. I am going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to spend a little less time talking about the champions so I can spend more time talking about the honorable mention picks at the end as well. The first up covers both of these perfectly. Victor has the ability to burst and poke, which is pretty rare for a mid laner actually. He has his laser, which is probably the biggest thing about his kit. That's very long range poke and it really hurts as well. But if you get up close to someone, you can actually burst them almost from 100% really with your Q, your ultimate, and even your E as well. I guess it kind of counts. He has really good wave clear with that E, and I guess it's partly this, but he's really good when he's behind and ahead. Like his wave clear can stall the game out, and when he's ahead, he can poke and push people away from towers or objectives. He's very versatile build wise. He can build like anything pretty much. Like if you're against a LeBlanc, for example, you could rush an Abyssal Scepter. If you want to poke more, you could rush Ludens. If you're against AD, you could rush Zhonya's. All of these are going to work. He has huge AoE damage as well. This is one of the things that I think is kind of underrated about Victor, is that his E and his ultimate do a ton of damage to a ton of different people. It's not just single target, it can affect an entire team if he aims it properly. The reason I'm putting him on the list at number 5, his win rate is not amazing, so I'm kind of taking a risk with this one, but basically he could solo carry a game if you play him correctly. He isn't very mobile, so you have to be a little bit safe, but if you're proactive with your poke, you can have a really big impact. Okay, next one, Anivia. Anivia does a lot of the same things Victor does actually, except she's kind of less about the pokey side and more about burst. Her burst is insane, and it's very easy to do with her ultimate as well. She just puts the ultimate down, uses her E, and suddenly like half your health is gone. She has a good lane phase, she's very safe with her egg, she does a lot of damage in lane phase, especially if you can hit that Q and E combo. I guess one of the things in team fights that people don't think about is how much control she actually has. Like, it's very underrated how much area control she has with her ultimate, her wall, her stun, and her damage. When you put that together, it's a very strong team fight. Really, she's very good throughout the game. You can't really go wrong with Anivia. Like, you can do well in lane phase. If you hit your Q, you're probably going to kill your opponent, and then when you get 6, you can really start to bully people and have a strong impact throughout the game. I kind of mentioned this in yesterday's video, so you should have been expecting it, but Koki is also a very good mid laner too. He basically plays like a mid laner anyway. He has high burst, he relies on his abilities, and he has good poke. The package is good when you're an AD carry anyway, but it's better in my opinion when you're a mid laner. It's a really reliable way of getting kills. You basically just base, you pick up your package, and then you run to mid lane. It's a one-on-one lane, so you can use your W in a long range, slow them down, push them back towards your tower, and they can't really escape you. When you're picking an AD mid laner, you have to sometimes be careful about picking him into the right comp. Like, you have to think a little bit more. They don't fit everywhere, but with Koki, he actually does. He has high poke and burst, a mix of AD and AP, so he fits into basically anything. A lot of that as well is because he's kind of different to most mid champions. He can burst, he can actually do sustained damage with his auto attacks, which is the AD carry side, and he can poke as well. Like, having all three of them makes him really well rounded. He's actually very hard to deal with in the mid lane, which is why I'm putting him here. Like, his rockets punish low health mid laners really hard. If you're just laning against him, it will take like 4 or 5 rockets and you're pretty much dead, which is really hard to dodge actually. Okay, so number 2, Lux does a lot of what Koki does actually as well, but she is just crazy strong right now. Her buffs in the preseason kind of brought her back, I guess. The new items are going to help as well, and Thunderlords is definitely helping her. She can proc it really easily, and this kind of adds to her already high damage. She has a lot of poke damage, and she doesn't even need to be close, which makes her good when she's behind or when she's ahead. Like, when you're ahead, you can poke from a huge range, which means they can't really do anything about it, and when you're behind, you can poke when they're trying to push and kind of stall the game out. She has very high impact regardless of her teammates, which is amazing for solo queue because you don't need to rely on having a good team, and I guess a part of that is because she can catch people so well and one-shot them from really high range. Like, it's no risk playstyle. Her utility is really good with that shield, which is rare to have so much damage and utility packed into one champion, but the shield, when you layer it over everyone in a team fight, is actually going to make a big difference. She does well mid game, which is where the game is the most important, and then she just gets even better as the game goes on and she gets some items. Like, she's very hard to deal with. So what a surprise, number 1, Ari, and I actually can't pinpoint exactly what it is that's making her so ridiculously strong, but she's over the top at the moment. She has high mobility, which means she's a very low risk playstyle. Like, if you're not very good with your positioning, then it doesn't matter because you can just ult away if you get caught. On the flip side of this, she has her charm to catch people who are out of position, which is just a great way of starting fights mid game. She has very high damage, but it's very easy damage to get off too, which is very important for anyone playing her. She's great at roaming, great at team fighting, like you have a complete package with her. As if her mid game and her late game wasn't strong enough, she has a very strong lane phase too, and she's one of the few champions that can probably outplay or win pretty much every single lane. I did kind of say this already, but it's quite easy to have an impact with her. Like, you don't actually have to hit all your skill shots to kill someone, which is kind of dumb. But on the flip side, the more advanced you are with her, the more you can do. There's actually some room to display your skill too. The funny thing is, even though she's number 1, I wouldn't really personally ban her. I think there are ways to shut her down, and there is some counterplay like dodging her charm or her Q, but she's just relatively easy to play, so well rounded, and such an effective pick. Now, I said I would spend a little bit more time on honorable mentions this time, so first up, what about Zed and Talon? They are in an okay spot right now, honestly, but the popularity of Mercurial Scimitar is definitely hurting with them. I think really when the new AD Assassin item comes out, they are going to be really strong though. The problem at the moment is if they don't get ahead, then they aren't that useful, but if they do, then they are really strong. Twisted Fate is another champion who could easily have replaced Victor here at number 5. His map pressure is great, and snowballing the game is way more important this season than it was before. He has a pretty well-rounded kit, honestly, and is rarely a bad pick, but he just kind of struggles in lane against other champions on this list. If you can roam a lot on him and have that pressure, then he is definitely a solid pick. Fizz is another one who is similar to Zed and Talon. If you get behind, you aren't really useful at all. When he's ahead though, he will ruin games and just one-shot everyone. So if you like that kind of high-risk, high-reward playstyle, then he is definitely for you. You do have to be proactive though. You have to roam and you have to look to get yourself ahead, but he does some crazy damage if you do manage to pull it off. Finally, a champion I hate to play against as an AD carry, but Kayle is definitely up and coming at the moment for sure. Rageblade is insane on her, and I think we could be seeing her become a really popular pick again soon. I've only seen a few of them, and at this stage it's a lot of like theory crafting, I guess, but in theory she fits the meta, she has insane damage with the new items, and I really do think she'll be back soon. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what picks you're doing well with at the moment, and remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, and I'll catch you in my next video.